So, you've set your goals for 2024, but you aren't actually sure when you're going to have the time to work on them. If that sounds like you, I've got the answer in today's video. Hello, my charmed ones, and welcome back to my channel for another video. So, as I said in the introduction, if you are someone who by now, by mid-February, if as you're watching this live, has gone ahead and you've set your goals for the year, and perhaps you've made action plans, hopefully you did, so that you know exactly what you need to do to achieve your goals. But maybe by now, right, middle of February, you feel like you're not exactly sure how you're going to fit in time to work on your goals with the rest of the things that you have to do in your life. So that is actually the strategy that I want to show you today. The first thing that we have to remember with this whole strategy, okay, is that time is not just going to suddenly present itself to you for you to go after your goals, right? You have to be the one to make the time in your existing schedule. I know this is something that I feel like, we all know logically, but how many of us set goals and even maybe make like action plans, but then really aren't able to make any progress because anytime we want to sit down and work on a goal, we're like, well, I have other things I have to do. Like I have too many other things I have to do, and those things feel like priorities, and so they get my attention. And then ultimately, sometime in Q1, we start letting go of our goals, right? We start feeling like, well, I'll do them later when I have time. And of course, time never presents itself to us, right? It doesn't expand for us to set our goals, right? We have to actually manage time ourselves and have time set aside for our goals. So this is what we're going to do. This is the strategy I'm going to share with you today. So the first thing you're going to need to do is start by creating an hourly schedule for your typical day. I call this my ideal daily routine. Now, if you want, you can create a hourly routine for your typical work day, and then another one for your typical day off, right? Because generally our schedules will vary between those days. I know a lot of people have one schedule during the week, and then on the weekends, they have a totally different set of things that they do. So if that is true for you, then I want you to make two of these ideal daily schedules, one for a work day, one for a day off. And then the next action I want you to take is I want you to make another schedule for your typical week. And let me go ahead and actually show you what I mean by these. I have some examples for you. Okay, so here you can see a screen share of my iPad here that I've got right in front of me. And I have a schedule here for my ideal day. As you can see, there's one column for an ideal work day and one column for the ideal day off that incorporates all of my current routines and tasks and things that I'm responsible for. And then I have another one here that is my weekly routine, right? And because I'm using the iPad, I've boxed things off and actually written in what's in there. I haven't put in a lot of tremendous detail. This is really just for example for you guys. In fact, I know I'm going to be asked, for those of you who are members of my Charmed Life Mastermind, if you guys want this file, I'll go ahead and drop it in the resource library because I know some of you might be like, oh, I really like it. It's just a really simple weekly and daily template, but it's a good thing to use while you're sort of working out this idea of, creating your overall schedule. So essentially these two schedules, or we could say three schedules, because obviously the ideal days, we've got two of them. These three schedules, right, are an overview of how you spend your time right now. So logically, in order to hit your goals this year, you are going to need to add in the time necessary to work on your goals into this schedule, right? Because again, more time isn't going to magically appear. We need to actually insert those time blocks for our goals into our existing schedule. So when you look at your schedule, right, both the daily and the weekly schedules, all the items that you actually have listed out can be broken down into one of three categories. So the first category of items that you're going to find on your schedule is what I like to call obligatory tasks, meaning that you have to do them at a specific time. You are obliged to do them at a certain time. So these are going to be tasks like clocking in and out of work. That's obligatory, right? If you want to keep your job, you need to stick to that schedule. The second category of tasks that you're going to find are routine tasks, meaning that these are things that you do at a certain time, and maybe they're like individual habits, or maybe they're actual like routines, which is a collection of multiple habits that you just do together out of habit, right? In order to support your daily routine. So you've kind of already created these routines in your life. Maybe they're default. Some people think that they don't have any routines, but you do. Even if you haven't intentionally created them, you do have some routines. So something like your, dinner time, right, would be a routine item for like most people, because you chose the time in your schedule that works for you and maybe works for your family, and you stick to it, right? But technically, these routine items, they're not obligatory, right? They could be changed if you needed to, right? They could be shifted and it wouldn't cause a major issue necessarily, right? So that is the second category of tasks, the routine tasks. And then the third category of tasks you're going to see on your schedule are discretionary tasks, right? Or discretionary time. So these are tasks or time that you are spending as you desire. So like watching TV or engaging in a hobby. These are things that are at your discretion. You get to decide what you're going to do with these pockets of time. And maybe you do have like something that you do routinely in that period of time, but they're discretionary. It's you deciding how you're going to spend that time. So I want you to go ahead and actually look at your schedule once you've created it, right? And I want you to identify which items belong to which category. And something that I think you're going to find is that there are likely only a few obligatory items on your schedule, meaning that they have to be done at a certain time. Most of your schedule will most likely either be routine or discretionary time, meaning that you have flexibility to play around with this time and make it fit your needs. So let's go ahead and just look at my schedule for an example. And I think a really good example of this we can start off here is actually the weekly schedule. So here on my weekly schedule, let me go ahead and switch to like a red pen for you guys to see, just for me to annotate what you're seeing on screen. There are 3 blocks of time in my typical week that are obligatory, things where I have to show up at a certain time. And those time blocks are actually these floating work blocks you see. So these 2 here and this one right here, okay? Not making the most, the most beautiful handwriting, but these are obligatory time blocks. Now, what these specifically refer to are, for example, Saturday, let's start with the Saturday. So Saturdays for me, I have a masterclass the first Saturday of every month that I teach from 2 to 5 p.m. So that's this time block here, okay? So right here, 2 to 5 p.m., I have a masterclass there, okay? It's not every Saturday. That's why they're floating, right? Floating means that I have like, I call it floating if I don't have them like in my schedule like solidly. But the first Saturday of the month, that block is there. Now, the last Saturday of the month from 11 to 1-ish, right here, right? That is my CEO Power Hour. So that's the monthly power hour within the mastermind that I have to show up for. It's scheduled, right? I have to show up at a certain time. Now, we also have work blocks, our office hours for the mastermind. So our office hours in the mastermind are held on, they have like a very specific timing for them, which is they're always the 20th day of the month. And if that day, like the day of the 20th, is a weekday, so Monday through Friday, it happens at like 7 to 9, which is this time block here, right? And if it happens on a weekend, either Saturday or Sunday, it happens, again, 11 to 1, right? Which is why I kind of have these blocked off like this, right? So those are the only items in my schedule that are obligatory, right? This is the nature of my life. And sometimes this is one of the reasons why, and I guess I should put a little disclaimer. I'm showing you guys this schedule not because I think that I have a schedule that other people should copy. In fact, you should not be copying my schedule because everyone has different priorities, different things going on in their lives. So you need to create the schedule that works for you. But for me, I know that when it comes to sharing my schedule with you guys, I don't mind doing it. But I know that people like to compare their schedule to like my schedule, like see, like they think like, am I doing it right? And you are doing it right if you're following your own needs. But for me, I tend to have very few priorities, like compared to probably like my average viewer, right? Like, so if you're here in my community, you may have way different priorities than me, right? Like I have way fewer people that I have to take care of. Like I just really have to take care of myself and my dog and my partner, right? And I just have my business. So many more people out there have children and also a day job, and may also have aging parents that they have to manage, and they also have maybe like PTA or outside of the home obligations that maybe are community driven, like I said, PTA, or maybe something at church, or maybe they volunteer somewhere, right? So that is going to put a lot more constraints on your schedule than it necessarily does for mine. So I just want to like kind of make that little disclaimer for you guys. Don't compare. Yours is not wrong just because it doesn't look like mine. You most likely have way more priorities to juggle than I do. And then the other reason I think I always want to kind of give a disclaimer when I'm showing my schedule is I'm not new to this, right? Like I'm, a productivity guru, right? Isn't that what I do here on YouTube? And I have been doing this for years, like honing my schedule, coming up with, routines and things that work for me and my life that are optimized for the way that I like live and work. So if you're new to this, right, it's going to probably take you a little time to come up with like a really solid daily and weekly schedule for you to operate off of, right? So just keep that in mind. Okay. So going back to my schedule, again, these are the only obligatory items on my weekly. My daily, the only things that I would say are like obligatory, I mean, maybe like we could say that like walking the dog, like taking the dog out, because I have created a routine for the dog. You could you could consider that obligatory because I know that my dog needs to go to the bathroom. He doesn't only go out one time a day. It's part of my morning routine. He also goes out, and anytime he asks, he goes into the backyard. But we only do like one big walk, like around the neighborhood for like 20, to 40 minutes once a day. So that's why it's in my schedule. Anything else, him asking to go to the bathroom, I can easily just let him go out in the backyard because it's fenced in. So that we could consider that obligatory, but other than that, I can literally change my schedule up as much as I want, right? So those are my obligatory items. And then to give you like a sense of my routine items, morning, I actually have them written down pretty much. I mean, my morning routine, my night routine, and if I put them in the center, you can see the blocks are in the center because it applies to both. On work days, I mean, again, I have a routine. That's why I've kind of listed out like work block, and then it's like the items that would be worked on during that time. My dinner time is a routine. This block here that you can see is the floating block for, if I have to work during a work day. But yeah, my lunch is routine, right? Like I could change that if I want to. And generally speaking, just so people understand like why I generally eat so late, I do intermittent fasting. So my eating window that I generally stick to is 2 to 6. So I end up eating anytime after, like between 2 and 4, I'll have a lunch. And then my dinner, maybe it's 5, maybe it's 6, like that's the window that I generally will have dinner in, right? Most of the time. So those are routine items, right, in my schedule. And let's see, and then we could say, what is the last category is my discretionary time. I mean, the read TV chill time, right? The thing that I do after my PM routine. We could say in here between lunch and dinner time, that's discretionary time. It usually just gets filled with like tidying up or something like that. Or playing with the dog like randomly in the afternoon, but these are blocks in my schedule where, I have discretion. I've got buffer in there. And you can see in here, right? If we're looking at my week, this is all buffer. Basically anything after my night routine here before I go to sleep is buffer, right? So yeah, those are how those 3 categories, obligatory, routine, and discretionary items, right? That's how they play out in my schedule specifically. So like I said, I want you to look at your schedule, both those daily schedules and the weekly schedule, and identify which items belong to each of the categories. Because when it comes down to finding time, right, in your schedule to add in for goal-related activities, we want to know what is obligatory that cannot move, what is routine and can be shifted, and then what's discretionary time that can really be worked the most, that's the most flexible time, I would say, is your discretionary time, right? So then we can take that information and actually add time into your schedule for working on your goals. Okay, so once you know your schedule and you know the categories of items that are on your schedule, now we can start actually blocking off time for when you're going to be working on certain goals. So hopefully when you set your goals for the start of the year, you broke those goals down into specific objectives and action plans for how you were going to make the goal happen. Now, if you haven't done that step yet and you're not sure how to complete that process, you can absolutely purchase my goal setting workshops called You Got Goals in the description. I will leave a link. You can also go ahead and get You Got Goals if you join my mastermind membership as well. So there's 2 ways you can get access to that. And in fact, like for the mastermind sisters who are watching this, we've done this already, right? We did this in December, and in January, we did all of this kind of planning and prepping. So we have, more solid goals in place. So this is really just like a catch up for the rest of my community who may need a little bit of guidance on this. But if you want my process, join the mastermind, grab You Got Goals. It's going to walk you through this like step by step with a little bit more of a refined process. So once you have those action plans made for your goals, you can go ahead and take those individual action items and start scheduling them into your day or your week. Habit-related actions for your goals should be given like a specific time slot in your schedule. For example, you can see up at like the 6 a.m. space in this morning routine block, it says wake up and meditation, because meditation is a habit that's related to one of my goals and it has a specific place in my daily schedule. Now, any projects that you need to complete for your goals, those are things you're going to want to give time blocks to, right? Now, these time blocks don't have to happen daily the way that a habit might, but they do need to happen, I believe, on at least a weekly basis, right? Either once a week or multiple times a week if that works for you, but they need to be built into your schedule so that you have the time to complete project-related tasks for your goals. So to give you an example of that, I can actually show you 2 examples that are here in my weekly schedule. As you can see on Thursdays, there is a block from 3 to 5 that says grocery and meal planning, right? That is my time for doing my grocery, making my grocery list, going out to get the stuff, creating the meal plan, etc. And that is a dedicated block of time that happens in my schedule. Likewise, a similar time frame on Friday is when I do my cleaning routine, right? So there are certain things that I tidy throughout the week, like on a daily basis, but my deep cleaning routine I happen to do once a week on Fridays. And again, both of these things are related to goals that I have for the year and therefore get their own like dedicated blocks in my schedule. Now, that is the basic concept of adding goal-related activities into our schedule. And so when we do this, of course, we're going to want to start by adding things in to our discretionary time first, right? Because that time is the most flexible. And then once we've used up all of our discretionary time, we'll want to go ahead and look at how we can rework routine time so that we can optimize the way that we're using our time. So a good example of that, again, kind of going back to my morning routine and my evening routine. Like I said, meditation is part of my morning routine. I've just slotted an activity into an existing routine, right? In order to achieve a goal. Same thing with my nighttime routine. You can see it says like tidy, self-care, pajamas. Self-care is part of, and the tidying as well, are part of my goals, right? And those were just items that I could just slot into those areas of my day and just kind of rework the actions that I was taking, right? For my morning routine and for my evening routine. So that's how you're going to want to tackle this process first, right? Start with your discretionary time, then rework your routine time. And if you still do not have enough time, which I'm sure many of you are going to get to this point and be like, I don't have enough time still, then you can move on to this next strategy, right? We can make time in our schedules a few different ways if we need to, right? The first thing that we can do in order to make room in our schedules is we can use a productivity strategy to help us more efficiently use our time, okay? The second strategy we can use is we can delegate activities in our schedule to others so that we can take things off of our plate and off of our to-do list. And third and finally, we can delete items altogether, okay? So I want to talk about how you can do this practically next. So let's say you have a block of time in your evenings where you prepare, eat, and then clean up after dinner, okay? So here you can see I've got that as well in my schedule here at the 5 to 6 p.m. mark right in here, right? So you could actually take back much of this time if you started doing something like meal prepping, right? So meal prepping is a productivity strategy that you could use where you set aside a block of time on one day to prepare maybe like a week's worth of meals. And then each day, all you need to do is heat up the food, plate it, and eat it. And then maybe clean up a few dishes, as opposed to having to like plan a whole meal, cook it all from scratch, and then clean up all the different pots and pans, right? As well as the dishes from that dinner, right? That is one way that you could minimize a time block so that you can give yourself time back to use on goal-related activities, okay? So that's practically how you would use a productivity strategy, okay? What about delegating? Okay, so, well, you could delegate the meal plan or the meal prep for dinner to another member of your family so that it's no longer your responsibility, right? And that would also give you back time. Or you could use option 3, which is to delete the responsibility altogether. So how could you delete the responsibility of having to cook dinner? Well, you could get one of those meal prep services, right? So that you don't have to cook dinner anymore. And then all of a sudden, all of that time block devoted to cooking dinner goes away, okay? Now, for some of your scheduled activities, you might be able to use all 3 of those strategies. You might be able to use a productivity strategy to help you. You might be able to delegate to somebody else, or you may be able to delete the item altogether, right? But for other tasks that you have to do, you may only really have like 1 or 2 of those options to work with. So you just have to treat this on a case-by-case basis. I'm not saying that all the things on your to-do list you're going to be able to, use a productivity strategy for, or delegate or delete, right? It may not be practical for you, but for many things on your to-do list, you're going to be able to do like at least 1 or 2 of those things that'll help you take time back. Okay, so let's go ahead and do another example. So I know a lot of people set aside time to do laundry every day. This is often seen as like a productive thing to do. I see like a lot of people who talk about like how to clean and organize your home, talking about this like strategy of making sure you do a load of laundry every day. The problem is that although laundry is a simple enough task to do, it requires a really strong awareness of time and multiple different steps or phases to complete. Because you have to collect all of the dirty laundry, right? You have to sort it, then you wash it, and then you dry it, and then you have to fold it and put it away. That's like a lot of effort for one task that has to be done every single day, right? So honestly, I think that like a 30-minute workout requires less time and mental energy than doing laundry every single day. So how can you minimize this time then? Well, the first thing you could do is switch from doing a load of laundry every day to just having a specific day that you do all of your laundry, right? So like batching it, right? Instead of doing a little bit every day, you do it all at once. That's called batching your work. So I think this is very important for you to consider, especially if you're someone who at the end of the week, if you held off doing all of your laundry for a full week, if you know that it wouldn't equal 7 loads, right? Let's say like at the end of the week, it would be 5 loads of laundry, then it behooves you, it's more productive for you to just wait till one day and do the whole thing at once. Because doing a little bit every day is really just wasting time, right? Technically, you're wasting 2 days worth of laundry time because you only have 5 loads at the end of the week, or 7. So versus 7. So if you have 7 loads for sure at the end of the week or more, right? Then by all means, if you like doing laundry every day, that's fine. But if you were to batch the laundry, that's one thing that will actually help you take time back, right? Because it's going to give you a smaller period of time to have to worry about all of the different steps and phases that go into laundry, okay? So that's strategy number one, using a productivity strategy in order to help you take time back. Right? Another thing you could do to help you minimize your laundry time is to delegate it to someone else or to get other people in your household invested in the whole laundry process, right? So that doesn't mean that you won't be doing any laundry anymore, but maybe you can get a partner, your children, other people that you live with to lend a hand. So maybe it's one person's job to do a load at a time, or maybe one person makes sure to do all the collection. One person, does the sorting. Another person is starting the laundry in the washing machine. Another person's putting it in the dryer. And then maybe you're all folding and putting away your laundry together, right? That is going to help to cut back on the amount of time that you necessarily need to be spending on that activity, okay? In this example, deleting laundry isn't an option, right? So that's an example where you can only do two of the three things. I guess you might be able to say that, like, if you hired it out to someone else, but that to me is delegating, right? Even if you hired a service to, come pick up your laundry, or you drop your laundry off at a location and they do it for you, yes, that would save you time. I would put that under the delegation, not the delete section. So, it's not something that it's like poof done for you, the way that like instant meals that are delivered to you take away the need for you to cook entirely, right? So that's the thing. So I would call that delegating more than deleting. Okay, so let's go ahead and work through one more example, okay? Because I want to give you guys a variety of different things to consider. So let's say you have a weekly obligation at the community center volunteering. And in this example, let's say that this is not something that you actually like to do, right? It was something that you felt pressured to say yes to, and now you feel like you're stuck having to fulfill this obligation that you're not even interested in. Well, ma'am, it is time to delete this item then, okay? I know it feels wrong to back out of something that you've already agreed to, but let me explain something to you. We've all done this. There is not one single woman out there, okay, who can honestly say that they've never been in the position where they felt like they had to say yes to something that they really wanted to say no to, right? But they got roped into it anyway. But the thing you have to remember is that this is your life, this is your time and your energy, right? And although we can sometimes be people pleasers as women, right? It's something that we're like known for doing, always wanting to help others, right? If it's not something that's bringing you joy, it's not something that's bringing you closer to a goal or the life that you want to live, right? Then it's important for you to reclaim that time and repurpose it to something that's of higher value to you. Now, this process, I know it seems scary to have to like say no to something you once said yes to. I know it's scary, right? But it's important to go into this situation with a clear plan and to just take action and actually rip off the Band-Aid, right? So this doesn't have to be a long conversation, but you do have to go to whoever is in charge, whoever you are accountable to, and let them know that you have to now back out of the obligation. And a very simple thing that you could say here, I've got like a little script for you, is you could say something as simple as, I am so sorry, but I'm no longer able to continue helping out here. There's been a change in my life and I can no longer spare the time. That's it, okay? Write that down, okay? I am so sorry, but I am no longer able to continue helping out here. There's been a change in my life and I can no longer spare the time. And guess what? You don't have to explain any more than that. You do not have to tell them what the change is. Maybe they'll ask. You could just say, I'm sorry, that's personal. I won't be able to talk about it, okay? And you're not lying because technically something did change, right? Your mindset changed and you realized that you needed to be someone who set boundaries around their time so that they can live the life they want to lead and get the goals that they want, right? As opposed to spending their time and energy on things that are not really a priority or not something that brings them joy, okay? So that's what we're going to do. If there's something in your life that just needs to be deleted, we're gonna come up with a plan. We're gonna find the person to talk to. We're going to back out gracefully, right? You do not have to explain yourself, okay? There's probably very few examples where you wouldn't be able to even get out of an obligation, right? But you know whether or not that's your situation or not. So once you've let go of the obligation, guess what? Now you have that block of time that you can allocate to your goals and to working on things that truly matter to you and improve your life. Now, Obviously, your schedule and situation in life may be different than the examples that I shared. So, to help you identify areas where you could either get more efficient using a productivity strategy or an area you may be able to delegate or even delete from your schedule, I'm going to give you some questions to consider. Okay? So, question or prompt number one is, what tasks do you do multiple times per week that could stand to be batched into a weekly or lesser frequency? So consider things like errands, financial activities, administrative or organizational tasks. Question or prompt two, what tasks could be automated? Even if you don't feel comfortable right now with that idea, you know that there are software and programs that can do certain tasks for you. So think about things like payment processing, bill pay, auto shipments on essential items, auto payment on medications or groceries, etc., right? What tasks could be automated even if you don't feel like you're up to setting that up right now, okay? I want you to at least know what those options are. Prompt number three, what tasks would you love to delegate, and who are the people in your life that you can rely on to help you? So think about your immediate family at home, but also think about like friends or family or neighbors, right? Or even services outside of your home, right? That may be able to step in for you. So think about, can your partner take responsibility for certain chores? Can your children, right? Could your siblings step up and help more with your aging parents, right? Can you create a carpool situation with your neighbors whose children do activities with yours, right? Can you, get a busing service to help drive your family members or your children around for certain activities that they do, right? These are things that are available in most cases for you that we're just not utilizing yet. So who can you rely on, and what would you just love to delegate? You may be able to find a solution to delegate some of your tasks to others. Now, a brief note on delegation, right? Delegation is not a one-way street where people are just helping you. Of course, it's a two-way street, right? Where hopefully you are going to be able to get help with something you don't like to do. And in return, perhaps you're going to be able to take on a task or something from someone else that is more in your zone of genius, right? So don't think of delegation as being like you're putting burdens onto others. Think about how you might be able to optimize, right? How you're maybe trading tasks with people so that you can do things that maybe you're good at and that they can do things that are like in their wheelhouse, right? That are not necessarily in yours. So think about it that way, okay? So next prompt is, which frequently purchased items could you put on auto ship, start buying online, or start buying in bulk? Okay, so I think that, again, we have so many options in our modern day and age. And I feel like so many of us spend so much time out of the home just running errands. Like, how often do you feel like you're running errands? Or the thing that you forgot on the way home, oh my God, I was supposed to go run this errand and I totally forgot on my way home, right? Errands take up a lot of our time, but we have so many different options for getting things sent to us that makes it so much simpler. So, are there things that you can set up auto ship for, right? Dog food, medication, home supplies, right? Are there things that you could just start ordering online, right? Starting to buy in bulk, right? Maybe you go to a Costco or another club store and you can, you're always repurchasing this item, might as well buy it in bulk, right? So think about what those options are. I'm not saying you have to take action, but I want you to consider your options, okay? Because there are lots of different options out there for different things in your life that are sucking up your time, okay, that we could get rid of theoretically, okay? Next question, next prompt is, what grocery stores in your area offer delivery, and what are the fees associated with it? And would you be willing to give it a try to see how it turns out? Okay, so on this topic of auto shipping or buying online or buying in bulk, so many grocery stores now offer like online order and delivery. And if you're thinking none of the grocery stores around you do you have a Walmart? Because like almost all of the Walmarts, I'm pretty sure, do grocery delivery. If there's a grocery section in your local Walmart, they do either grocery pickup, right, which is another option, or a grocery delivery. And I will tell you, I was very surprised when I actually looked into it that it did not cost me a lot of money to actually have my groceries delivered. And actually, for like, if the earlier you can schedule your grocery delivery, and for me, when it comes to Walmart, if I can put my order in the day before, I can have it delivered at a certain time and it's much cheaper. But even same day delivery, right, is actually, I think, actually really reasonable for the fact that all I have to do is pick items, right? And I can say alternatives, right? If there's something specific I want, I can say alternatives, and it gets picked for me and it gets delivered to me. And all I have to do is go to my front door and grab it and put it away. That's so much simpler, right? And I know a lot of people get freaked out about grocery delivery. I feel like there's two camps on grocery delivery. One camp is they've tried it and they're like, it is so worth it. It is so worth my time. I'm a hardcore grocery delivery person. And then the other camp is would love to do it, I think, but I'm afraid, right? I'm afraid that people are going to pick the worst produce. I'm afraid that I'm going to get the wrong items. I'm afraid, right? Let me tell you, this is 2024, right? Number one, when it comes to grocery delivery, anything you get can be returned, okay? So if you get something wrong, it can be returned. Really, for me, the worst thing that can happen in a grocery delivery for me is that something I really needed ends up being out of stock and I don't get it. So sad. But, especially with Walmart, they've been so good with adjusting prices. Like, let's say I order a meat and they tell me that the price is going to be a certain price. If it actually ends up being less, they give it to me for less. You know what I mean? And I don't think they ever charge you more. I think like whatever they put online might be like the max that they'll charge you. The best thing that can happen is just that like it's a little bit smaller of a cut of meat or whatnot, or, less poundage or whatnot, and they take it off. If there's something that they can't fulfill, they take it off your order. They immediately refund it. And I've always found, honest to goodness, anytime I've had produce chosen for me, the people at the store who are doing it are choosing the best thing that is there. They really are. Especially in Walmart, there are dedicated people who it seems to be their job, that they are the pickers and they take care of the grocery pickup and the grocery delivery section. They pick the best things. So if it is that you get, I don't know, an asparagus that looks really blah and limpy, right? It's because maybe that was the only thing that was left, or that was the best of what was left. I've really never, ever had a bad experience with anything. And again, if anything happens, with the delivery and you can't find something in your order that you thought you ordered, again, especially all I could speak from is Walmart at this point, because they're the only ones that I use. Again, you go in, change your order and let them know something didn't come and they refund you, right? So it's really not as scary as it thinks. Take a moment to look and see who does grocery delivery, how much it costs, what's optimal for you, when is it optimal for you to be placing the order. And yeah, maybe instead of paying the delivery fee at Walmart, you do pickup. There's nothing wrong with that. And I think if you do pickup, they don't charge you anything, I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong. I've never done pickup though at Walmart. So a lot of times these grocery stores will have a couple of options. So take a look, because even going to just pick something up at a certain time is much easier, less stressful on you, right? Than having to go and do the grocery shopping yourself. I know grocery shopping is simple and it's something we've all been doing forever, but don't underestimate how much of like an energy and like stress saver it is not to have to go in and do all that stuff, right? It really does end up adding up. Even if it means that you've got like 30 minutes more energy in the day, right, to use on other things, that's totally worth it, I think. So think about grocery delivery, okay? Okay, and the last prompt is, what tasks or activities in your schedule do you want to let go of? So my advice to you in this situation is to stop doing things that you don't want to do, or make a plan to back out of them gracefully as soon as possible so you can reallocate the time. If you think that the task is something that does need to be done, but you don't want to do it, like you think it's something that needs to be delegated, you can find someone to take over the activity for you, right, and show them how to do it or whatnot. And if you feel like you can't find anyone or no one agrees to doing the thing, I know this is going to be very controversial, but I've done this before and it's worked, okay? Just stop doing the thing and see if anyone notices. And anyone who does care that the thing is no longer done, like if someone cares enough to complain about it, right? Then all you have to do is say, oh, let me show you how to do it so you can take care of it, right? I know it takes a little bit of gumption, right? Like you have to be a little bit sassy about it, but you can do it, right? Like stop doing the things you don't want to do. And if no one wants to take up the responsibility and you let it go, the people who care about it, someone will complain and you can tell them that they can do it then as nicely as possible. You could say, oh, I can show you how to do it so that you can do it now, right? And that's a really easy way sometimes to solve problems. Okay, so that is everything I wanted to share with you on how to make time for your goals if you don't have enough time right now. A lot of strategy. I know this was a lot. There was a lot of different steps and a lot of different things to consider, but I hope that this has been helpful for you, like a little mini training. There were a few things that I do want to say. If this was very helpful to you, there are two things I want to let you know. Number one is if you got a lot of value out of this, you really want to consider joining the Charmed Life Mastermind. So the Charmed Life Mastermind, I already mentioned it earlier throughout this video, I should say, is my private group coaching community where I do live classes. We have a whole resource library with on-demand classes and tools and planning inserts and journaling prompts and mindset work. Anything that you need to become the most productive and fulfilled and successful version of yourself, no matter what your goals are, they are there inside of the mastermind. So if you got value out of today's little video training, the mastermind may be a really good next step for you. And if you're someone who's not sure if you're ready to join the mastermind, I want to let you know that I have a free productivity assessment workshop that I am teaching live next week. So I'm going to be going live at 2 p.m. Eastern time on Thursday, February 22nd. So it's 2:22 at 2 p.m. Eastern. And we're going to be doing the productivity assessment live. So if you've never heard of the productivity assessment, it's exactly what it sounds like. It is an assessment that I created to help people determine what their actual productivity issues are. Because being on the internet, teaching about productivity for over a decade at this point, I've learned that sometimes people think their planning issue is, or their productivity issue is one thing, but there's actually a different issue. Or what they find is that they think they have an issue and it's really just a symptom of a deeper issue. And so they're kind of always addressing the symptom and never getting to the root cause. So the productivity assessment really helps you get very clear on what you actually are struggling with your productivity, so you can finally put together a plan of action. And that's what we're going to do in the assessment. We're going to do the assessment and you're going to walk away from that assessment with a plan of action for how you're actually going to work on your productivity. Now, during that class, I'm going to be talking about the Charmed Life Mastermind and teaching you a little bit more about it, letting you know a little bit about what's inside and what's included and why it's a tremendous value for you if you're someone who wants to make a difference in their life this year and wants to make more things happen and learn how to become like a more productive and successful version of yourself. The Charmed Life Mastermind is the place to be. So join the mastermind, come for the productivity assessment. I will leave all the information down below and I hope to see you soon. So if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a like. Feel free to share it with anyone you think would find it interesting. Again, for more of the behind the scenes of my productivity life and business, make sure you're following me on Instagram at MissTrenchcoat. And if you're not yet subscribed to my channel, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button for more awesome videos by me. And until next time, bye-bye.